Okay, so anyway, he's talking about my mom. She got real sick. I mean, she'd never really been sick. I mean, as far as being in the hospital. I mean, there were some rumors that she was in an institution one time, but I don't remember that. She never was sick. I mean, she didn't even sign up for Medicare or Medicaid or something. I mean, I know they automatically put it on there, but I looked at her Social Security. She didn't get much, like $460 before she died, and I never saw anything on there about her Social Security. But she didn't even take it. I mean, she was healthy. But anyway, so she had been going through a lot of bad stuff, and I remember my niece calling me. She said, "Man, you need to get over here. Grandma, she's not doing too good." And before we could even get over here, she was in the hospital. And so we went in there, and she was 81. But man, she got around real well. She didn't have to walk with a cane or anything. I mean, you know, she quit driving because she was legally blind. I won't really go into that story. But I went in there, and I mean, she was in a lot of pain. And I just told the doctor, I said, "Man, what's going on?" He said, "Well, she's got the white blood cells just multiplying like crazy. This cancer." I said, "What in the world? What?" I said, we had there was no clue, no nothing. I mean, there was nothing. He goes, "It happens." He said, "There was something in there your mom had." And I said, "Maybe that's why she felt bad for the last few months." I said, "You know, we tried to get her to go to the doctor. She wouldn't go." He said, "Well," he said, "I know your mom." He said, "I remember your family growing, you know, many years ago." And he said, she always had good health." I said, "I know." So anyway, I said, "Well, what do we have?" He said, "Well, 2 days or 2 weeks," but he said, "I'd say 2 days." So this was on a Thursday. And it was just about a day like today, gloomy. So she didn't want to die in hospital. She wanted to go home. And we're talking about a home that was all dilapidated from a hurricane, and it's still that way. She was just hard to deal with. We tried to get it fixed. She wouldn't do it. Anyway, so my sister went and got her and made her come to her house where we live over here between San Antonio and Austin. And I called my brother the day before. He's in Vegas, and I said, "Hey, you better get here." I said, "You and Sean, come on," his son. So they drove straight through, and so Cindy called and said, "Hey, I'm picking her up." So here's the funny thing. She had willed her property. She didn't have much. You know, property was worth more than the house. Well, you know, she was worried about that. And so my sister called the lawyer, and she said, "Well, she needs to come over here and sign something because she put down their property, not land." And she said, "You have to put land." So my mom, while she was dying, went to the lawyer's office, sitting in the car, and my sister had to hold her hand, and she wanted to sign those papers. I mean, my mom lived a hard life, you know. I mean, I've known people that were dying or had a hard time, and everybody's around them, you know, while they're dying. My poor mom, she was suffering even while she was dying, you know. And I mean, I feel guilty. I feel guilty. I don't know. Sometimes I don't think I did enough. I mean, I'm the oldest, but it wasn't for lack of trying. I mean, like I said, my mom was very hard to deal with. You never know, you know, she would call, or you try to call her, you never know what kind of mood she was going to be in. I mean, man, she had a tendency to get pretty crazy. I mean, we all loved her. It was just hard to deal with her. So anyway, we took her over. My sister brought her there, and me and my brother, he just got up here about an hour before my mom got there. We're sitting out there outside my sister's house. Here she come. And we had to carry her in. She wasn't obese or anything. She was just heavy. You know, when they get that age, they get bottom heavy. And my mom literally, we carried her best we could, literally had to walk into the house to her deathbed. She had to walk into her deathbed. You know, I mean, I get very, very frustrated when I hear people talk about their loved ones dying, and I feel bad for them. Where did they die? Oh, they died in the hospital with all of their family around. My mom didn't die with all her family around, you know. Anyway, that's the first time I ever saw my brother break down. But the moral of the story is my mom was very difficult to live with. And, you know, we all as kids agreed this was the best thing for her because she was getting to the point you couldn't deal with her. You couldn't do anything for her. I mean, she was pretty self-sufficient. But, you know, like I said before on another video, you know, I wanted to put AC in our house. My mom, we grew up without AC. We never had AC. The only AC we had, and my dad, he was a wheeler dealer. He ended up with this was in, I think, 67 or 8 or 9. He ended up with a 64 Cadillac sedan DeVille that he had done some swapping with. He had a 56, I think, a Plymouth station wagon. And he traded that station wagon. He had another vehicle that he had bought. He bought a 48 Chevy Aero Fleetline, the fastback coupe for $160. Mom went to work in 67 or 68, and she actually bought the car. But that was our family car. It was a 2-door, had the mohair interior. It was hot in summer and freezing in the winter. But he ended up with that Cadillac, and it had air. That was the only thing that had air. But the only time he ever took that, now I was driving by the time I was 11. He would let me drive him around. And of course, you know, this was a time when the cops wasn't ridiculous. You know, they wouldn't want, you know, they'd let you explain. I mean, we never got pulled over because there wasn't no cops around there really. But that was the only thing. But so Mom never had air conditioning. Well, you know, we finally got her husband, this is her second marriage after Dad, to put an AC in the bedroom. I mean, he was just that type of person. He wouldn't do anything. He just wouldn't do anything. I remember going up there one time. His sister had given him a Mint, like a 75 Nova, 4-door Nova. I thought no, it was a 78 gold Mint. I think they only had 40,000 miles on it. Well, she sold a bunch of property and bought her a Cadillac, and she gave that Nova to him. It was a 2-door. That thing was mint, man. I remember going over to visit my mom, and he worked like 2 miles down the road from the house. Went over there one day, and the car was sitting there in the yard. I said, "Where's Leon?" She goes, "He's at work." I said, "Well, how come you didn't take the car?" She said, "Well, it wouldn't start." She says, "It's been sitting there for 2 weeks." I said, "What do you mean it won't start?" He said something's wrong with it. I said, "Well, let me go look." So I went out there and looked, and the battery cable was corroded. That's how he was, man. So we finally convinced him to get an air conditioner, and all it was just a low 110. She had air conditioner in her bedroom. But we would go over there, and oh man, you just couldn't take it, you know. So, you know, what I'm saying here is everybody goes through things, you know. Yes, there are some people that go through worse things. Not from their own doing, but it's just life. And, you know, I see all these young people. I mean, I'm thinking of myself too. You know, I went through, I had to grow up fast. Okay, I'm going to go back. I had to go up fast because Dad got hurt when he was 32. They put, you know, because of head injuries back then, they were putting people on LSD. Well, Dad was one of those people they put on LSD. And we're talking about a 6'4" ex-wrestler here on LSD. So, I mean, what was that blue one? He was, he was scary. Yeah, he sure was. He was a scary person. So, I had to grow up pretty quick. And that happened in 66. So I was 9, 8 or 9. Yeah, I was 9. And he was always in the hospital, you know, and so they put him on LSD, and you know, he got a settlement, but anyway, we moved to the country, and he decided, I don't know how he decided to do that. He decided to get him a tractor and start baling hay, and then there were some bad things that happened. I can't talk about it here, but there were some bad things that happened. Okay, I just said my brother got ran over with Dad's tractor, and it was a bad event. And we quit. We did that hay baling stuff for about a year. After that, it was just my dad. Seemed like he was getting better. You know, my dad. he'd go into convulsions and everything. But you know, we were busy. We had a couple of cows, and you know, we had animals up there. It was 4 acres. We had a bunch of chickens just running around free, and you know, seemed like things were really, really going good. You know, and then all of a sudden, you know, that happened. That kind of ended things, but kind of stopped. You know, put everything and stopped. You know, stopped the hay baling in its tracks. And I was following Dad. He had a '62, I think it was '62 Chevy 2 wagon, and he had painted that thing like a pastel green long before that was popular. And I was following him. I was, I think I was 11. Yeah, this is in '68. I was born in '57. And I was following him behind, and I remember that big old whirlwind came up and knocked my brother off. You know, we'd ride on the tank of the tractor, you know, because he'd just puttering. But he was pulling. He had the hay baler. It was an old hay baler that made the bales square, and then the rake. Rake was a swirl. It would leave the rows and swirls, so the hay baler could go along and suck up the rows of hay into the baler. Anyway, that knocked him off, and of course, you know, by the time Dad got stopped, my brother had gotten run over by the hay baler and the rake, and when he stopped, my brother was under the rake, and I could not get out of that dang car because I couldn't get the door open. And my little brother in there, he was, I think, 8 at the time. He jumped out the window, and my dad, I sat there and saw my dad. He lifted that rake, and we estimated that thing weighed about 850 pounds, maybe 900. He lifted that thing up with one hand and pulled my brother out. But that was, you know, stuff like that made me grow up real fast. And, you know, if any young people are watching this, man, do everything you can not to grow up fast. Because it kind of affects your mind when you get older. You know, enjoy your youth. Have fun. Yeah, you're going to get in trouble. I never got in any trouble. You know, I was a good boy, and I mean, I'd sneak around and do things, nothing bad. But man, you know, after that happened with my brother, everything kind of slowed down for quite a while. But you know what like I said before, my point is I'm not unique, but everybody has things happen to them, and yes, some are worse than others. And for me, you know, that was one of the worst things that ever happened to me, you know, to see something like that as a youth. And, but it's life. You know, it's life. Everybody, I read one time they estimated there's, 150, 200 billion people that have been born on the earth. You know, they don't really know. I mean, even the Bible doesn't keep record of that. But out of that 150 billion, you can bet 149,999,000,000 of them have gone through similar stuff, you know. But if you're a young person watching this, have fun, man. Just enjoy it, because you know, don't grow up too fast. I grew up too fast, and oh yeah, I mean, I was a kid. Yeah, I did things, but you know, after my dad got hurt, I had to grow up. I had to help my mom drag him to the bed when he was having convulsions. But you know, at the time, I didn't know. I was just a kid. I thought that's what I was supposed to do, you know. So just live your life, man. Enjoy it. Don't try to grow up too fast. Man, there's a lot of good, you know, even though we're in some kind of weird thing right now, I watch business news. Now, when I see business, I'm talking about real business. When real business tells me they're going to do this and they're going to do that and they're going to do this regardless, we're going to try to do the best we can, I know that there's hope. There's hope in this world when an entrepreneur says, you know, I have to do this. Now, I'm not talking about these poor restaurants, which, you know, it hurts the restaurant, it hurts everybody. But, you know, I was talking to some of my, you know, I know a lot of hot rod. I was visiting with one today. I was on his website, They build chassis for custom cars and hot rods and resto mods and things like that. And I sent him an email, told him who I was, and he's oh yeah, he said, I'll subscribe to your site. He said, I like stuff like that. I said, well, I try to make it a little bit therapeutic. I get a little depressing sometimes. He goes, man, don't we all? He said, look at here. He said, I'm pulling in $10 million a year in a dang hot rod shop. He said, if you'd have told me 50 years ago that a hot rod shop can pull in $10 million a year, he said, I'd have laughed at you. And he said, I'm 62. He said, I would have laughed. He said, when I started this 20 years ago, and that's pretty good income for 20 years ago, being in business. He said, I would have laughed at you. He said, I was happy to make $200 a week when I started in I think he said he started in 99. So that's 20 years. I said, I know. I said, I know what you're saying, man. He said, our chassis business is, he said, we do up to 4. He said, we average around 30 chassis a month. But he said, last month, of all months, he was talking about December, we sold 44 chassis. They build them. They're all scratch built for each car. Like say, I get 37 Chevy and I want a chassis. They can build it to my specs. I want it real low. I want this, that. I want coilovers. I want airbag. However you want to build it. If you want to build a traditional with just axle, he'll do that. But anyway, those chassis start out about 11,000 and can go as high as 30. So he's making money. So what that tells me right there is, yes, when you watch the news, everything's going to hell. But it isn't. It's going to take a lot more than this for everything to go. I mean, I was it's not that I was a World War buff. I was a World War researcher. And when I hear people say, oh my God, this is the end, I said, well, have you ever studied the World Wars? Well, no. Yeah, I heard about them. I said, well, no, you need to research them in depth. I mean, World War II, how many people died in World War II? They don't really know. They just estimate between 60 and 80 or 100 million. Now that's bad. That's terrible. Then what the Germans did to all the Jews and other people. I mean, what is it? 6 million Jews, and people are freaking out right now. They think this is the end. They think it's over. No. I read I typed in one time the worst year in history, and they said 537 to 539. There's 2 years of no sunshine. Now, that would be the end of the world right there. If you don't have sunshine for 2 years, you're either going to freeze to death, starve to death, or go crazy. So, yeah, I lived a rough life, but, I had a lot of happy life, too. And that's my wife. She's always reminding me, hey, you had a good life. I mean, she's telling me that sort of figuratively and literally, but a combination of both. I don't really know the words, but and she's right. I mean, like all you guys know that I was a pinstriper, and I'm gonna tell you, being a pinstriper, I mean, yeah, it can be a rough little gig, but when you're out there striping somebody's car and they're patting you on the back and giving you a tip and they love you and everybody's oohing and on, well, that's not too bad. Of course, it does kind of mess with your mind. I think you guys get it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I think I'm going to just do this thing right here and do some stuff around it and call it a day. Because it's too late to talk to my granddaughter. She usually just goes to bed about 7:30. But I do, now all you guys know I do Wow Wednesday, which is Wheels of Wealth. I want to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to dig a little deeper into that, like some businesses that you can go into and get into the not so much the news, but just things that are going on in the automotive world. We got the EV thing going, and I mean, I think that's pretty cool. My brother, he's a hot rodder like me. He just got him a 60, I think it was a 61 Cadillac sedan, Coupe de Ville. And I said, man, you're going to electrify? He goes, no, I'm not going to electrify that. He said, I might get an electric vehicle one day, but he said, I'm not going to electrify that. He said, you know how that is. I said, no, we got to have real sound. Well, my understanding is you can get some sort of app for these electric cars so they can have some sound, but it's not the same. I mean, I guess that's okay for these new people that don't really get what it feels like to shift gears in a big 427 Chevy and smoke the tires all the way down the block, and that engine's just screaming. Yeah, most of you guys that are watching me know what I'm talking about, because I know what I'm talking about, because I've done it. I've had cars like that. I had a 55 Ford truck. I've mentioned it before. You know, it wasn't a big block Chevy. It was bored out to, I think, a 402. I think it was a, I don't remember what the guy said it was. Anyway, yeah, it just screamed. I mean, it made a lot of noise. A lot of noise. And that, to me, is what it's all about. And I mean, yeah, I think those electrics are cool, man. And I do believe one thing. I do believe that is going to be a big opportunity for the customizer, because here's the thing. I mean, what can you do performance-wise to an electric vehicle? I mean, I know someone's going to figure it out, but I mean, you can't pull the heads off and have machine work done. You can't put a cam in it. I guess there's a way to tune it electronic, you know, through tech. I don't know. Uh-oh. Hope you guys can see this. Dadgummit. Last time I did that. Yeah. I don't really know. I mean, I'd like to know if, you know, like Tim used to say, add more power. I mean, they're pretty quick as it is, but you know, I read something today on it, and the guy goes, well, you know, when you build one that can smoke, you know, not only smoke the tires, which they can do, and pop a wheelie and sound really evil, wicked, mean, and nasty going down the road, then I might be interested in getting one. That's just me and guys like him. You know, we're true hot rodders, and that's what we love. That's our passion. But I like them, man. I'll tell you what. I've seen some that were lowered and you know, had rims put on it. And, you know, they're pretty cool. But I don't want them as a sole only vehicle. Hey, this is the only thing we have to drive. No, I don't want that. You know, I don't want that. I don't want to, you know. I mean, yeah, I know they're going to solve the issue of charging stations and that kind of stuff, but you know, as of right now, I kind of still like, you know, hear a big V8 crank up. Now, I did have a little deal one time at a car show with somebody. We were talking about, he wanted to know if I would do his Tesla. He never come back because I made him mad. I said, oh yeah, that's when they were first coming out. I said, you drive an electric car? And I go, he just kind of looked at me and goes, why? I said, well, you're already getting defensive? Is you got a problem? I said, you ever hear the old saying that the truth stands up to scrutiny? He said, what does that mean? I said, well, if your car was really all that and it was true, you wouldn't even have to argue with me, because I would believe it. I said, I was just asking you about the Tesla. And I said, you know, yeah, I'll stripe it. I'd love to stripe one, you know. I said, just to me, it's just a car. But anyway, he got all bent out of shape because I just said, oh, one of those. Like, God dang. I said, they're going to get that defensive, then there must be a problem. Because as of right now, there are people that are getting very defensive when you say something against electrics. Well, they haven't been around. I mean, yeah, I know they came out back in the teens, you know, electric vehicles. I mean, they're nothing like what they have now. This was because everything was being electrified. I mean, you know, Edison was doing all that back then. They want to electrify everything. I think they want to electrify your toilet paper. But, yeah, he was getting, he just got real offended, and he never even come back, man. So, you know, I'm like, well, you know, us real car guys, we would have a reason to get offended, but we don't. You know why? Now, the only way I get offended by something, if I see somebody say something I know for sure is not real, and that happens a lot of time on social media. I used to correct people, and they were okay with it, but I quit kind of doing that. I'm thinking, damn, somebody's going to come after me one of these days for correcting them on something that I've actually done. But the real cars, to me, like, you know, 69 Camaro, Mustang, Dodge Charger, you know, some of the Euro cars, you know, I like Bentleys and Rolls Royces, and the shooting brakes, which are wagons. I like that stuff over there. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a crazy way to sign your name, isn't it? Anyway, just rambling on, you know. I got nothing better to do, so I hope you like that. Man, that looks like a An amoeba? I don't know. I don't really know. If I get enough subscribers and people see it, you know what I need to do a little bit here? I need to put a little shadow. Put a little shadow over here. See, the light's coming from that. Yeah, okay. But when I was painting signs, it seemed easier where to put the shadow. And now I'm doing this. I'm like, wait, where's the shadow? It's not really a shadow. It's just a. When I used to paint signs, I know I said I was done here, but you know, you do red signs on white or red signs on black. But a lot of times, red signs on black, they wanted black shadowing, and I quit doing that. I wanted gray because it didn't really look like a shadow. But I never really liked black with red, but it looks okay on here. Well, anyway, everyone have a good day and a good week, and I'll post this, I don't know, tomorrow or the next day. So everyone have a good day. Thank you.